It didn't start with a lightning bolt or thunder in the sky. It started with a whisper in the spirit, soft but unmistakable. You didn't imagine it. Something sacred shifted. On that day, heaven pulled back the veil. A revelation descended, and someone saw something they were never meant to see, not yet. But God allowed it. He orchestrated it, because the time had come. What they stumbled upon wasn't a rumor. It wasn't gossip. It was glory. They didn't just notice you, they discerned you. Not with eyes, but with something deeper. And the moment it struck them, their soul trembled. Their breath caught. The atmosphere wrapped around your name and refused to let go. You were not just in the room, you shifted it. You didn't say a word, but your spirit spoke. Loud, clear, unmistakable. The scent they caught wasn't from cologne. It wasn't anything you wore. It was what you carried. A fragrance not of earth, but of eternity. A holy signal that clung to your presence, not to impress, but to reveal. A message sealed in your survival. A story etched into the scars you never posted, the tears you never shared, the prayers you whispered when no one was listening. What they felt wasn't discomfort, it was conviction. They didn't come looking for revelation. They were simply passing by. But when God opens the heavens, even those blinded by ego must squint in the light. Your name thundered in silence. Your aura disrupted normal. And in that moment they realized, this one is different. You've been walking with oil on your life. Not because of performance, but because of preservation. You should have broken. You should have drowned in what was meant to consume you. But instead you emerged soaked in promise, dripping with divine residue. Like the three in the furnace, you were in the fire, but not of it. And the flames, they testified. The smoke, it followed you, not to remind you of pain, but to mark you with proof this one walked through it and lived. Isaiah 43:2 was not poetry to you, it was survival. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned. You didn't read it. You lived it. You wear it. And now even those who ignored you before are sensing something they can't name. They feel it in your silence. They flinch at your presence. They don't know why they avoid your eyes, but their spirits do. Because what you carry is not casual. It's not common. It's consecrated. God didn't expose you to shame you. He revealed you to honor you. Heaven made a decision. The moment had come to uncover the one He preserved in the shadows. And that moment lit up both realms. What was hidden in you is now disrupting everything around you. You are not walking alone. You are walking surrounded, not just by people, but by power. You are escorted by divine intent. Heaven is not simply watching you, it is advancing you. So don't mistake discomfort for danger. What feels like tension is actually transition. What you sense right now, the unusual pressure, the sudden clarity, the dreams, the interruptions, it's not chaos. It's confirmation. You've been marked not for destruction, but for demonstration. And the revelation isn't over. It was only the beginning. Because what heaven uncovered didn't end with exposure. It set the stage for war and for victory. The moment your name rippled through the spirit realm, something ancient stirred. Not just within heaven, but across realms. The revelation didn't just reveal you, it rattled the gates of darkness. The enemy wasn't prepared for this unveiling. He wasn't threatened by your voice when you were quiet, but now that your anointing has grown loud without words, he's trembling. You felt the warfare, didn't you? The sudden weight, the shifting glances, the strange silence from people who once clung to your every word. It wasn't paranoia. It was perception. Because when heaven opens doors, hell sends distractions. And yet, they could not touch you. Not because they didn't try, but because you were already shielded. There are angels who have been on assignment long before you realized you needed them. Not poetic cherubs with soft wings. No, these are warriors. They stood over your sleep. They encircled you in boardrooms, at dinner tables, in conversations where your name was passed around like a weapon. You were unaware, but not unguarded. What looked like silence was actually surveillance. What felt like abandonment was divine strategy. Archangel Michael never left your side. Sword drawn, eyes unblinking. When they smiled in your face and schemed behind your back, he stood between their plans and your purpose. He didn't strike not because he couldn't, but because God was gathering evidence. Heaven allows delay when truth is preparing to testify. You wondered why people distanced themselves without explanation. Why rooms once warm suddenly turned cold. It was the scent again, the scent of oil, the scent of favor, the scent of prophecy unfolding. They weren't reacting to your personality. They were responding to what they sensed on you but couldn't control. Because you carry something that can't be manipulated. God quarantined you for a reason. Isolation wasn't punishment. It was insulation. He pulled you out before their contamination could confuse your calling. He severed ties that would have strangled your destiny. And even when you cried over the disconnection, heaven whispered, "Trust me. I'm preserving what you don't yet understand." They knew who you were. Don't be fooled. They weren't blind, they were strategic. Pretending not to see your greatness was a tactic, not a lack of awareness. They wanted you to doubt yourself just enough to stay small. But heaven intervened. Every demonic assignment sent to observe you has been recalled. Every familiar spirit sent to mimic your movements has been disarmed. Every counterfeit trying to steal your glow has been stripped. Because what God placed on you cannot be duplicated. It cannot be hijacked. It cannot be bought or borrowed. You carry a frequency that disrupts darkness. Your spirit emits a signal the underworld recognizes. And that's why the attacks never made sense on the surface. They weren't about the present. They were about your future. The enemy didn't war against you because of where you are. He warred because of where you're going. But the Most High has had his hand on your back the entire time. Every delay was divine. Every betrayal was permitted. Every silence was strategic. Not a single move was wasted. Because heaven has been setting the stage for your emergence, not for show, but for testimony. The war intensified because your light intensified. You are not a threat because of your strength alone. You are a threat because of your yes. Your surrender scared hell. Your obedience disrupted cycles. Every time you chose humility instead of retaliation, power surged through your spirit. Every time you chose to forgive, you weakened the enemy's grip. This is not a battle over image. This is a battle over inheritance. And the war escalated when the scroll was opened, when someone saw too much, when your calling broke containment. But don't fear what's reacting. Discern it. Everything that rises against you now is reacting to what heaven has already affirmed. You are not losing ground. You are claiming it. You are not under attack. You are under assignment. Heaven is not in retreat. It is in motion. And you chosen one are at the center of divine strategy. The battle is real, but so is your covering. And the enemy knows it. That's why he's panicking. Because he couldn't kill what God preserved. Because despite every hit, you're still here. Still rising. Still glowing. Still speaking light into dark places. You didn't break. You multiplied. You didn't quit. You deepened. And now the war has shifted. From subtle whispers to full exposure. From silent sabotage to divine intervention. Because when the enemy loses access, he gets loud. But the louder he gets, the clearer your authority becomes. Don't retreat. Don't shrink. This isn't your breakdown. This is your banner being lifted. This is heaven declaring, "This one is mine." They smelled it before they could name it. That sacred, strange weight you carry, it's not charisma. It's not confidence. It's not charm. It's consecration. A fragrance forged in fire, pressed from the places where you bled in silence and prayed in pieces. What clings to you isn't from a bottle. It's from a breaking. The scent of your life is holy. It tells a story louder than your voice ever could. It speaks of midnight prayers that shifted atmospheres, of choices made when no one was watching, of tears caught by heaven and turned into oil. You didn't earn this fragrance through applause. You inherited it through crushing, and now both realms know it. Even when you walk into a room, silently spirits respond. Some are drawn, some are disturbed, some are unsettled by something they can't explain. They don't know why they avoid you. They don't understand why their mood shifts when you speak. But their spirit does, because your anointing testifies. You smell like Gethsemane, like surrender when it would have been easier to run. You carry the aroma of endurance, of choosing forgiveness instead of vengeance, love instead of bitterness, faith instead of fear. Your steps leave behind the residue of victory. You don't even realize it, but your life smells like breakthrough before it shows up. This is why the warfare has been so subtle, so strange, because it was never about your words. It was about your weight. You carry something eternal, and everything that is counterfeit can smell it. That's why relationships shifted, why opportunities twisted, why people you trusted suddenly felt foreign. They didn't betray your personality, they reacted to your power. You are walking evidence that fire doesn't always burn, that pressure doesn't always break, that being overlooked doesn't mean you were unseen. Heaven never lost track of you. And now, neither has hell. That's what they smelled on you. That's what caused the reaction. It wasn't your presence, it was your preservation. Even your silence is scented. When you choose not to respond, not to retaliate, not to explain yourself, your restraint releases fragrance. The restraint that others misunderstand is actually a signal in the spirit. It says, "This one belongs to the king." There is no mask thick enough to cover the scent of survival soaked in obedience. You reek of resilience, of revival, of redemption. Every time you walked away, instead of fighting back, every time you wept, instead of weaponized your wounds, you released something sacred. And now, the oil has matured. Those who once questioned your worth are feeling the pull. They may not say it out loud, but they sense it now. Something about you changed. It's not louder. It's deeper. It's not flashier. It's weightier. There's a gravity to your name that didn't exist before. And it's not because you elevated yourself. It's because you endured. You didn't skip the process. You let the fire refine you. You let the tears baptize you. You let the delay develop you. And now the fruit of that faithfulness is fragrance. Not for show, but for confirmation. Not for applause, but for recognition in the spirit realm. God marked you with scent because some people were never going to see you. They weren't going to hear you. But they couldn't ignore the atmosphere that changed when you arrived. You carry a scent that arrests attention, holy attention. Divine scent doesn't just linger. It lingers with purpose. It draws the right ones. It repels the wrong ones. And the ones repelled, let them leave. Their discomfort is not your rejection, it's your protection. They're not walking away from you. They're walking away from what you carry. They are not reacting to your face. They are reacting to your flame. Your anointing is speaking. It's setting boundaries without you saying a word. It's cleansing rooms just by your entrance. It's causing some to confess and others to run. And you haven't even fully stepped into the next dimension yet. You are a walking altar, a moving miracle, a living sermon, and the scent you carry, that's the proof. Heaven didn't just call you. Heaven preserved you. And now the oil is testifying. The fragrance is working. The weight is revealing. And what others tried to ignore is becoming impossible to overlook. Do not shrink. Do not explain. Do not apologize. Let the oil speak. Let the scent speak. Let the glow speak. Because what they sense is not you. It's the God who kept you. And what's rising now can't be reversed. You've been marked in the fire. And now the world will smell what heaven already confirmed. This one was chosen. They thought they buried it. Thought they could hide it beneath whispers and private schemes. But what heaven seals no human hand can silence. The scroll of your life was never in their possession. It was archived in glory. What was tampered with on earth remained untouched in the divine. And now, the unraveling has begun. There's a shifting in the atmosphere. Secrets are starting to surface, not by force, but by fire. Words spoken in dark rooms are echoing louder than the ones spoken in public. False stories are fraying, manipulated narratives are collapsing. Not because you defended yourself, but because truth doesn't rot in silence, it ripens. Heaven waited, not out of hesitation, but because timing matters. God allowed the deception to mature, gave space for every hidden motive to expose itself. He let masks stay on long enough to prove what was beneath them. And now, the courtroom of heaven is in session. The judge has spoken, and the verdict is being carried out. Restore what was stolen, return what was broken, and honor what was mocked. You don't have to lift a finger. You don't have to chase down rumors. The Most High has already begun turning the tables. Those who scoffed in secret are watching your name rise without explanation. They're not just confused, they're convicted. Not by anything you've done, but by the scent you now carry. Your elevation is revealing their intentions. Watch for it. The unusual apologies. The awkward silence from those who once had so much to say. The reappearing of voices that ghosted you now disguising interest as innocence. It's not a coincidence. It's exposure, not just of them, but of the truth. Heaven has unsealed the scroll, and with it, the blueprint of justice is unfolding. The rooms they tried to keep you out of are opening. The doors they slammed behind you are now being held open in your honor. You're not returning as a visitor. You're entering as an owner. This is not revenge. This is restoration. This is what divine justice looks like: clean, undeniable, irreversible. Your name has been cleared in places you never even knew it was dirtied. Your image has been lifted in rooms you've never entered. Because God doesn't need your presence to vindicate you. He just needs your obedience. Psalm 94:1 whispers through this moment, "O God, who avenges, shine forth." And He is, not with fire to destroy, but with light to reveal. Every hidden email, every manipulated message, every planted doubt, He's dragging them into the light. Not for your satisfaction, but for your freedom. Because now, what once poisoned your peace is losing its grip. That lingering heaviness, it's lifting. Conversations that used to drain you can't even find your spirit anymore. The invisible weight you've carried for months is breaking. Because justice isn't just external, it's atmospheric. When God restores you, He restores the space around you. And still, He watches your heart. Because this moment isn't just for your benefit, it's a test. How you handle their silence now will reveal how deeply you've healed. Will you gloat, or will you glow? Will you weaponize your rise? Or will you walk in quiet power, letting your endurance speak louder than your pain ever could? Let the Lord deal with them. Let the evidence of your survival be the only statement you need. Because those who tried to erase you are already stumbling under the weight of what they did. And heaven is not done yet. Someone is about to reach out. Casual, light, pretending the past never happened. But discern the spirit, not the tone. This isn't about reconnection, it's about clarity. What once confused you is now coming full circle. They were not sent back to your life to be embraced, they were allowed back to be recognized. You don't need closure when you have clarity. You don't need revenge when you've been restored. You don't need their validation when God has marked your vindication. Let the wind of justice blow. Let the weight of grace settle. Let the exposure continue not as punishment, but as purification. Because what God is doing now isn't just about your past, it's about your future. He's clearing your atmosphere for what's next. And what's coming requires space, requires purity, requires protection. That's why He's cleaning house not with bitterness, but with brilliance. And every soul who thought they could touch what was sacred is being reminded this one was sealed. You were never forgotten, never forsaken, never dismissed by the one who wrote your name in fire. And now the same light that exposed their schemes is illuminating your steps. Keep walking. The path has been cleared. The next realm is calling. And this time you're not coming in as the one who was wounded. You're coming in as the one who overcame. You didn't endure all that fire to shrink now. You didn't carry oil this costly to pour it out for the approval of people who never saw your worth. What was broken is being restored, and what was stolen is being returned not for your ego, but for your assignment. Because now it's not just about what happened to you, it's about what heaven is about to do through you. There is a shift unfolding, and you are not a bystander. You are the carrier. What once silenced you is now fueling your voice. What once closed you off is now opening gates. You are walking into rooms not because of who you know, but because of what you carry. And what you carry can no longer be hidden. The presence of God is moving through your life with divine clarity. The scent of glory on you is attracting what's ordained and repelling what's disguised. You are becoming a living filter. Light cannot help but draw or divide, and your light has intensified. But with this elevation comes responsibility. Not the weight of performance, but the call to live aligned, to walk like one who has been entrusted. This oil is not for decoration, it's for direction. You are not just being preserved, you are being positioned. Not for comfort, but for impact. So now heaven speaks 5 instructions over your life. They are not suggestions. They are sacred strategies for where you're headed. First, begin your mornings in stillness. Before you scroll, before you move, be still. Heaven is speaking early. 5 minutes of focused presence will set the pace for supernatural clarity. The air is thin right now between realms. Don't miss what God is whispering because you filled the silence too soon. Second, audit your access points. Not everyone deserves your energy. Watch who drains your joy and who deepens your spirit. Discern patterns. Who consistently brings peace. Who always leaves confusion behind. Trust what you feel in your belly. When someone exits without reason, let them. That's pruning, not punishment. Third, document everything. Dreams, visions, names that rise in your spirit, sudden clarity. None of it is random. Heaven is leaving instructions like breadcrumbs. Write it down. The small impressions are part of a larger blueprint. This is how God builds legacy through whispers obeyed in faith. Fourth, speak what heaven calls you. Stop repeating the lies others gave you. You are not fragile. You are not too much. You are not behind. Call yourself chosen, healed, commissioned, victorious. Don't wait for someone to affirm it. The Spirit has already announced it. Align your language with your calling. Fifth, protect your joy like a fortress. Laughter is spiritual warfare. Rest is sacred obedience. Peace is not a luxury. It is a sign of kingdom alignment. Set boundaries. Say no when your spirit says pause. Guard your oil from being diluted by people who don't honor the process it took to carry it. Because what you carry now is rare, and what's ahead requires full attention. You're not just walking into answered prayers, you're becoming the answer to someone else's. You're not just rising, you're being revealed. And heaven is not just watching. Heaven is cheering. There is a reason your presence carries a strange stillness now. Why people fall silent when you enter the room. Why some stammer, some soften, some squirm. It's not intimidation, it's recognition. They are responding to the presence you carry. The weight of heaven has settled on you, and even if they don't understand it, they cannot deny it. You have become a message in motion, a signal, a shift. You're not the same person who cried in secret. You're not the same one who questioned if they heard God right. That version of you was pressed so this one could pour. What was formed in fire is now flowing in purpose. And the scent you carry, the spiritual signature of every survival, every surrender, is speaking louder than ever. It is calling resources, drawing right relationships, disturbing counterfeits, and preparing the way. Do not hold back. Do not dim your flame to make others comfortable. You weren't called to blend in. You were called to break through. The days ahead will feel weighty, but not heavy. Unusual, but not confusing. You're being aligned with your assignment in real time. This is the moment you've been preserved for. Not a performance, not a platform, but a purpose wrapped in obedience. Walk with reverence. Speak with precision. Love without fear. Rest without guilt. You are not late. You are not lost. You are not overlooked. You are aligned. And now carry the fragrance forward into every room, every conversation, every decision. Let it speak when you're silent. Let it draw what heaven has ordained. Let it testify of the God who kept you when no one else knew how broken you felt. Because this scent, it's not of earth. It's not for sale. It is sacred. It is the evidence of glory. And you are the proof that heaven still anoints, still appoints, and still redeems. Walk now, chosen one. Not as someone waiting to be seen, but as one already sealed. Heaven has moved, and so must you.